What's going on, everybody? It's another day. It's another red candle in the S&P. We're up. We're up again. We're moving sort of sideways, but we're up. But it's another red candle. So our after hours pre-market moves are still doing some work, and we're still having a hard time making any movement during the day. So today was another low volume day. So there's a couple questions of where's the money? Where is it trading at? Well, if you take a look at the rest of the market, you'll exactly know where the money is. It's in tech. NASDAQ is leading the way still. The big five continue to go up. They have room to keep growing. There's nothing stopping them. When we look at the S&P, there's a lot of different supply issues to deal with, have resistance to break. We still haven't reclaimed new time highs, so we can't even get into a trend up there. So the money, where is it? It's in tech. It's not in the S&P. So when we take a look at the SPY, which is, what I like to look at the most when I think about the market, it's a little bit broader. Well, this is where we are. We're moving sideways. We had this consolidation. I know some people are going to try to make an argument here for a flag, which we're going to take a look at TNA. That's the 3X Russell 2000. Has the same pattern, but the 3X makes this a rally because of the amount of percent that's gaining. So this does turn into a flag. So we're going to take a look at that. Don't really have a flag here. Still consolidating. Very low volume today. We're sitting right on the support. So what is the market telling us to do right now? What's it teaching us? It's telling us to trade off of support. Buy off of support. That's what's happening. Sell at resistance. Buy at support. Sell at the trend line. Buy on the trend line. It's the same tail. So we're still continuing this uptrend. And when we think about, are we going to get a pullback? Is it going to happen? You got to remember that what's happening right now is the Fed is pumping liquidity into the market. QE is going on. If we crash, so if we came under this trend line and started coming down, then 100% we're going to be coming down into a bear market. But the reality is that if that happened during this near term, that would mean central banking has failed us. And we're going to have a lot of problems to deal with if that's the case. But as long as the Fed is pumping in money, and right now it's going to be coming up again, are they going to be pumping some more in? And we might be actually seeing the market play chicken right now. Besides tech, if we look at the S&P, you might see the market playing chicken. They're waiting for the Fed to do something. They want the Fed to do something because when the Fed does something, we get a really nice rally out of it. And so that might be coming in a little bit. Otherwise, though, tech is booming. So there's no reason to never be long the top five in tech. Always go long. And the rest of the plays that we're looking at we're looking for more percentages, right? Those are pretty good guarantees to get those gains. But what we're looking for is even more than that. We want to be able to use some technical analysis and get some bigger gains. And so that's the story. I know we haven't really gone over the macro outlook as much, so those are some of the things. As long as the Fed is here, the rally is not going to stop. So we're slowing down right now, but that's just the S&P. The NASDAQ's not slowing down. So got to look at all of the different facets of the market. And next up, what we're going to do is just take a look at some of our daily positions. First up, taking a look at Etsy, 5% gain on the day, closed a little bit lower than the high. Until we get a sign that this is reversing, we're just going to let this keep going. We're not going to take profit. Same with Peloton, same story, all-time high, continuing to go up 3.5%, close a little bit higher than the high. Take a look at NVAX. This is from the 15th, reached our target of 70 today. So this was a very nice gain, stayed inside the trend range the whole time. There was never any questions about what was happening here. So that was a nice one. This was not in the video. You saw it on the watch list. And then look at today's new positions, ALT, sitting right in the supply level here, 2% gain. That's going to be an interesting day for tomorrow because if we can jump over that supply as well, then that's when we really expect to get up into the trend range. And then take a look at GDX. We also formed a double bottom here today. If you take a look from this high, these two bottoms, and then into here, past the resistance. So we only got about 1.5%, but this still looks good. So I would say that also getting another signal indicates even more bullish bullishness into it. And so still really liking this position. We're going to see how we are tomorrow. And moving into our first position of the day, SMPL, excuse me. Very excited about this one, so let's jump into it. 7% jump here today. You can see even from bottom here, higher lows. And then if you look at this trend line here, obviously got some sort of break there with today's big jump. And if we just take a look in this whole area, you can see a lot of volatility in terms of price movement, but it's very structured. You know, we're not flying up and down the page here. We are in a very similar, area here, and it seems like this is a nice bottom compared to these highs that we had then from the COVID drop. And so let's start out looking for some trend lines. So I have a few things in mind already. If we just take a look at what's going on here, I'm going to say probably about here is the best bet. And then set up a range. Probably right there. We'll angle with these. So we'll use this as our incoming trend. And then we can see this bottom here came out of the trend line, came down to test, and now you can see now we're moving out. And so let's start building up some of our trend lines that we're looking at. So of course the big one I'm looking at is here. Excuse me. And then down here at the bottom you can see we have these two converging trend lines. And so this is another one of those areas where it does look like we have a diamond in here, but we can't include this. And so you have to start asking yourself, do I need to include the entire bottom from COVID because of a lot of volatility? And the answer is probably no. And so I'm going to look to build a diamond in here however we can. So I'm already going to start setting up some ideas here. So let's just map out this breakout. So really nice breakout. This is a very good breakout. This is something that's not just peeking out, it's confirmed completely. And so it's a good start. So if anything, you get a nice triangle there, but again we get a diamond here, but it's just going to be a little bit flatter when we take a look at it. And so now I need to figure out exactly where in here do I want to place these trend lines. And I'm thinking with this price bar, if we take a look, this feels like a really good spot. So this here. So you can see that. And so we're going to have a very ugly diamond here. And that's really okay with me. Doesn't need to be perfect. It's what it's doing is what matters. And so a little bit harder to see, but you can't really refute it. And so I would say that we have a diamond breakout here. Well, this would be a diamond bottom. And so we're going to reverse this trend this way now, even though we have this very long extension here. This doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be symmetrical. Not everything's symmetrical. And you can just see the really nice price movement in here. The way these highs got lower and lows got high, climbed right in. And so now taking a look where we're going, let's look for some support and resistance. Obviously a lot of supply in here. On the support side, let's take a look. Put the cross on. Let's take a look further back here. So some interesting levels in here. Right around here as well. So even there looks, let's put down, about right there is what I saw. In terms of resistance, again, similar thing going on here. I would say around here actually. Just throw this down. So probably right almost on top of where we are. We'll put to resistance. And then, what's nice again is that we don't have resistance again until further up just because of the way price came from COVID. You can see, you know, maybe not even till in here is when you have an actual supply. And so I'll just plot that down. Something probably further in here if we're looking more locally. Let's just say right there, average through here. And so we get into this range. Take a look at the amount of movement that we have here. And so if I have to target a price, you know, just take a look at the way this is moving here. So we have a bottom. We have established a bottom. You know, this is certainly the bottom of the price. And so if we think about where this is going, get into here, longer pattern, remember, count all these bars, think about how long this pattern took to develop, how long it took to break out. So we're looking further here, but this thing also can move. So what I would say is right below resistance is probably a perfect spot to play as a target. So I'll just go ahead with a flat number. We'll call it 23. So SMPL 23. Next up, taking a look at TNA. This is the Russell 2000 tracked ETF. This is the bullish 3X. And so you're going to see all the price bars making a lot bigger movements since it's 3X'd. And so just a reminder, small caps lost the most percent during the crash and are up the least since the crash. As we looked at, tech is really leading the way, and tech lost the least and now is up most. And so small caps are really down here. But what we have over here is, I think, an interesting play that you can't make besides on the 3X. And that's just the way the percentages are working and how I would think about the technicals if I'm just looking at this here. This is a bull flag because this is a rally. Now, let me take up the cross, a bit annoying. This is normally not a flag if this is just a trend, if this was like 1% or something. But since this is 7% and then 7%, I would consider that a rally so that I can put a flag here. So I'm going to show you what I mean. Here's our flag, our pole, excuse me. Put that here. And now the flag over here. And so what I'm thinking here is that this is just presenting an interesting play that, you know, maybe wouldn't present itself if we didn't look at the, or it 100% wouldn't present itself if we didn't look at a leveraged ETF. Move this here. And then you can see that we have this breakout here, even though we had a red candle similar to how the S&P had a red candle today, but it was up. And so if you think in terms of technical analysis, the way we think about flags, and we're going to continue this steep uptrend, well, this is a very steep uptrend. Usually the bull flag is not even that steep. This is very steep. And if we take a look at what's going on, again, this is just the market. This is just the small cap though. But think about where this is on the S&P. It's right up here. This is all the way down here. When we had the overextension in the market, it occurred down here as well. And so what I'm sort of seeing here is an interesting play to be able to get some points, even though it's very short term. I think in the long term, it's not very bullish, but in the short term, I think there's a very interesting play to be made here. And so that's what we're going to go for. Let's look for some supply. It's going to be a little bit wonky here on the 3X. Let's take a look here. Most likely right above, right in here. See these wicks? So let's throw that down. Know about right here. So you can see the wicks here, and I know that we have, it's pretty close there on the close. In terms of support, let's take a look here. I would like to see maybe around there. Probably about right here. I'm going to just average a few of these. Got to close, get some wicks here, wick, another wick here. And then if, just in case, since I do think this is going to come lower eventually, let's throw in another support for in case we have another opportunity for a play. Probably further down around here somewhere. Probably right in here, you can see that. Oh, got a wick over here. So we'll take a look at those supports. And so what I'm expecting is that we're going to get a nice pop out of this. If you just think about technicals, how they work, and we don't think about this as being, you know, a market view, and there's a ton of volume on the TNA, by the way. So everything, you know, you get a pretty good accurate reading. And so in terms of where I'm looking, I'm going to look up here. I don't know if I want to go above that. So what I'll say is, even just right in the middle of the road, we'll say 34.5 is what I'm going to target on TNA. So this is going to be an interesting play to set up in the morning. When I take a look at open, I'm very interested in what I can get opened at to get up here. And so thinking about just the options, I could really get out, I could really take some strikes out of the money and actually make a nice play on it if I think it's going to move that fast. You know, that's one way to set these up, is that you don't even need to get to the strike, but I'm expecting a lot of movement here. So similar how we got a candle like this down here, maybe not the same circumstance, but I think we're going to get it there. So I'm going to put that in for TNA 34.5. This is just one of those opportunities that you see and you take advantage of sort of how these ETFs work, how that's 3x'd, how I can kind of construe that this is a bull flag, even though technically if it was on another, if we looked at the S&P, it's definitely not, right? So TNA 34.5. And just to finish this video up, I do have a few more tickers that I'm looking at that I want to see if I can make a play on. These are pattern breakouts as usual. I'm not going to go through them. And same with the bearish watch list again. I have a lot here that I'm looking at. But again, these are not the same as these other plays that I'm making where we're going along. We have specific targets and everything. These are very quick plays. You know, when you're looking to the bearish side, you know, it's there and it's done. It's over with. So I don't want to be posting these because I'm realizing a few things, and there might be a few things I need to change up, because it seems like there's a lot of people that are entering positions and they don't know what they're actually looking for. You know, they might be selling at the wrong time when everything is completely fine. And so, you know, I'm going to try to do a better job of explaining everything, but you know, a lot of these positions, they take time to develop. And so when we look at a position that has, you know, 30 bars or something like that, and so we're expecting another 30 sessions to even maybe get to the target price, you know, you can't be selling on day 2 just because it didn't move. And so that's something that we all can learn and get better at. It's the same when I preach about not taking profits early. Like, until price reverse, don't take profits. But even I screwed that up recently. If we take a look at the FSLY again, you know, I sold in here, and then we got another, you know, 15%, 4%. You know, I had no reason to sell in here. There was never a signal that said sell. I just went ahead and sold because it was up so much. So that's where an emotion state comes in, where your emotions tell you to do something, even though if you just take a look at price never told you to sell in here. And so that's, you know, a mistake that I as well make sometimes, and you got to get over that, right? So things to get better at, but just be mindful of the plays that I'm showing. You know, a lot of these do take some time. We've gotten some really nice pops, but a lot of these, you know, you got to be able to take some losses before you take gains on a lot of plays, because you need to be able to bounce off supports, bounce off resistances in such ways, turn them into support. That's a whole part of a healthy movement in the market. And so just maybe think about a few of these things before you enter positions, especially if you're not 100% sure how options work. Make sure you have stops placed in immediately. So before the market even opens, that your stops are going to be there and ready. You know, you don't want these things to be, you know, causing you to, you know, get hurt, because I don't want to see anybody getting hurt just because they weren't 100% sure about what they were doing. So maybe ask a few questions, be honest with yourself if you understand what you're doing, and you don't have to always be making a trade. Always remember that. You know, maybe wait for the moment that's going to work for you. You know, some of these positions I show may not make sense with your own thoughts about how things work. And so that bias that's in your head may actually cause you to make a bad exit. So when I look at some positions, I have no thought about it other than when I look at the analysis itself where it's telling me it's going to go. And so I just let my stops do the work. Besides, again, here's a good example of my emotions taking a lot of chips off the table. And so think about these things, sometimes it's best just to wait, hold your money. Cash now is better than not having it when you lose it because something happened in your trade that you weren't ready for. So be mindful. Let's keep making money. We've been doing pretty good here. Let's keep it up. I'm glad you guys are enjoying everything that we're doing in the Discord, the videos. Let's keep the communication going, and I'll see you guys in the chat as always.